Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me check. Turn my music down a little bit. All right, all right. Hello and good evening to everyone. Welcome to Live with Anita Nayela. I am Anita Nayela. Thank you for being here with me on this live. Today we have an interesting conversation for you as usual when I have this particular couple on the platform. It's always interesting. So I'm super excited to have this conversation today. So right now I'm just waiting for my guests to come through, and we are going to get started. Let me know how you guys are doing today in the chat. Let me know how y'all are feeling. Let me know what's going on with you, how your day went, all that good stuff. Talk to me. Today's Friday. Anyone going to see the Black Panther movie today? Let me see who we have up in here so far. All right, we have, hey, Serpent X. Thanks for passing through. Peace to you. We have Inya. Thanks for coming through, sis, and always supporting. Appreciate you. Who else do we have here? My sister in Christ. Peace, thanks for passing through, sis. Thanks for coming through and showing your love as usual. I appreciate you. Guys, I'm just trying to put my last minute little touches on some things, and then we are going to get started as soon as my guest arrives. Let me check in with them because I know that they are very, very busy. So I'm going to do one more check-in and make sure so let me make sure that all is well on that end. Inya, you say it's raining? It's raining dogs and cats. Yeah, it's raining over here too. In Maryland. It's been raining it's been raining all day. It rained all day. This morning, my son got up out of his sleep this morning. And we woke up and he looked at my toddler. He looked at me and he said, "It's gonna rain." And I said, "Okay." And he went right back to sleep. I said he must have had a dream about the rain or something. I don't know what was going on. And he went right back to sleep afterwards. And then as I was laying there in the bed, I started to hear the rain coming. And I was like, was that a prophecy? Did he just prophesy? I don't know. I don't know what y'all call that. But yes, as long as you guys can hear me, I have to turn that down just a tad bit. Let me make sure. Who else do we have here? I see Annie just came in the building. My aunt Speak says, yeah, it's really gloomy, windy, rainy off and on. Makes me want to curl up in the bed with some tea. Girl, Yeah, I can't tell yet. I'm a little tired today. So we're gonna be here for as long as we can. Okay. Let me see who else. Annie, hey Annie, thanks for passing through. We have Crypto Volts. Hey Crypto Volts. He says hello family. Um, India says we getting the remnants from the storm in Florida. Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't realize there was a storm in Florida. Forgive me because I be tuned out when it comes to like the news and stuff like that. I wasn't paying attention. I said I thought, yeah, they be knowing my aunt. They shouldn't be knowing. They be on it. Okay, so they should be here shortly. And let me see. Crypto says hello, family, to everyone in the chat. So let me just share this out one more time. And they should be here shortly. I just got the message. So today we're gonna be talking about black love. That's one of my favorite topics to discuss, actually. Believe it or not, it is one of my favorite topics. I think we need to talk about love a little bit more. Um, as black people, I think we do, because we do have some success stories out there and some good, beautiful stories that need to be told about people who have been together, are together, and it's just working through the cycles of life. Those stories exist as well. So we need to make more of an effort to showcase those types of stories. But today's gonna be a little different, even though we're gonna be focused on black love. We're gonna specifically focus on respect and reciprocity. Those two things today. Respect and reciprocity. And so yeah, we're gonna have a really good conversation, guys. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure y'all like and share the live. Um, and because this is gonna be a treat. Man, show them is always a treat. Um, yeah, so I'm a little bit like low energy. I think it's because of the weather. So I'm a little tired. I'm not even gonna front. Let me stop pretending like I'm not tired. I'm tired, y'all. Oh, here they are. So yeah. So I wanted to specifically talk about reciprocity and respect in relationships because we talk about respect a lot, and here they are. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring them right up. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello.
Greetings, Neon Coma. I can hear you.
Okay,
Your watch is not here yet. She'll be here in a second.
not a problem. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. How you
Good,
feeling?
good, good. Thank you for being here once again.
Yes.
I know
Forgive us.
today we're going to kind of do a little bit more of a laser focus on reciprocity and respect. So I'm
Yes.
interested to hear you guys take on those two things. You kind
Absolutely.
of you don't know this, but it was something of yours I was listening to, and it was about reciprocity, and I think you kind of shift my thinking a little bit around reciprocity in the way that I was seeing it, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and gave me a little bit more to think about, make me go a little deeper in my
Good.
understanding. So I appreciate that. So I'm interested to
Good.
hear what you guys have to say in reference to reciprocity in relationships.
Yes. That's a
Um,
very big thing in relationship.
I know, and the respect too. Most people usually when we hear respect is always in reference to the man.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to get into like if that's important to us and like how important is it as far as woman is concerned. I mean, are you do you want us to wait or you want us to get
No, I mean
started?
we could jump in. We could jump in. I hear her coming, but we could jump right on in. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We work together or separately.
Okay. Okay.
and
But
or
I'm so
so
used to you guys rolling together. That's
yes,
all.
yes. We're the best when we're together. But
That's a good thing.
we like to always say when you see one of us, you see the other one. you know.
So I want to start off like, first of all, do you have any like success stories since the last time we spoke? Like anything that you guys are, maybe something happened with a couple or something that you guys are extremely proud of that you are willing to share today?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We have been so we're working with a lot of different people, and
Hmm.
one of my favorite stories from last week is we had a major breakthrough with a couple that we've been working with. We're court involved with them, so they are involved in a court and a court order to relationship counseling, couples counseling, and so we're providing that to both of them individually and together.
Hmm.
Last week we had a major breakthrough, so they're in a large package with us. That last 12 weeks, we're in week 8, and we had a major breakthrough. They've been separated, living apart for 5 months, married for 10 years,
Wow. Okay.
um, really contemplating divorce. And they worked with us just as a way to think about how to end the relationship amicably.
Mm.
They have 2 children, and we work with them, and they are reuniting very soon. They are moving back in together. They
Cool.
are continuing on with us, and they are really excited about the possibilities that lie in front of them now that they can come back together with some of the tools that we gave them to really be able to communicate more deeply and authentically.
Hmm.
You know, um, they said they missed each other. They've been doing a lot of fighting,
Mm.
and it was good to see them say, like, to stop for a minute, because we get into this, I'm fighting you, you fighting me, I gotta win, no, I gotta win. And it was good to just see
Wow.
them say, like, yo, I miss you, yo. Like, I really, I just miss you. I miss us, and I miss what we have. And then it was really moving because one of the children, I think he's like 6 or 7, he got on there. He came on the screen and was just like happy that his mom and dad are getting back together. And he was with dad, and the children went with dad, and mom was really going through it. She loved her children, and she been with them their whole life. And so they have 2 sons. They went with dad, and this 5 months been hard on the whole family. And so they've been working with us. Came to us about 2, 3 years ago, and we told them,
Really?
look, you don't have a lot of time with this situation you're explaining to us. And lo and behold, they like, oh, we love it. We're gonna start. A lot of people threaten us about coming to council, and they never did. And then when we saw them again, they were in a trial separation, talking about divorce, an affair was afoot. There's a lot of shit going on.
Hmm.
And so we unpacked all of that stuff in really 8 weeks. We were able
Oh,
to
okay.
wrap it all up for the most part. We got 4 more weeks to go in this package, and then we have to, send our final reports to the court. But um, even with 4 weeks to go, they're clear that they're coming back together. So they
Mm.
got a order where they can't be together yet. They can't be together until we submit our stuff, because
Okay.
she had went berserk, and
Okay.
but it's just a success story. And we have a lot of them throughout the month, but this one was a really great couple, and just watching them go through their thing, so we're happy about it.
Yeah, that's good
Yeah,
news, man. I'm
yeah,
over here
absolutely.
cheesing,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
my heart is
absolutely.
happy hearing that because that's 10 years invested in each
Yeah,
other
yeah, absolutely.
with two
you know
children, and like
Yeah, it's
that's
it's
really
real
good.
out here. It's real out here, and we all go through cycles, and you need that support. And so it's just good, because where they was at, it was, when you love somebody deep, the war can get deep too, and it can get
Yes.
ugly. And so it had gotten really ugly, and they had to get the court involved, but you know, we doing it, and I'm proud of them. They doing a lot of good work. So, you
So
know,
do you think that because I agree with what you just said, that it can get real ugly when there's that much time invested. Is that because of so many things that have happened over a period of time, then it hits like a climax or something, and then it just, is that the reason why, or is it like, I don't, well, maybe resentment built up.
No, you know what I would say it is? The stakes are high because people invest so much in their mind. In their mind and heart, they invest a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of us, it's a brutal world out here. For a lot of us, the intimate relationship is the thing that we want to be the oasis to all the other things in our lives. And it should be, but it
Mm-hmm.
won't be if you don't have certain skills and you don't create it to
Mm-hmm.
be that. It's not just going to be that because you want it to be that or because you choose what everybody thinks that they're looking for the right person. Everybody is the right person. That's
Mm.
something you don't hear a lot. Everybody is the right person, but do you have the right skills is what the
Mm.
issue is. And so you know,
Everybody, Mancha.
mo- most
Everybody.
most black people, yeah. Yeah, I would say that because it is definitely now I'm coming from a cultural place and
Okay. Okay.
what I think about black people.
Okay.
Most black people do not think about black people what I think about black people.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so
Mhm.
so I can't discount any black people in this idea that I'm espousing.
I
Now that
got you.
may seem
Hmm.
hard for people, but I always say like this: like if you've been in relationships and you've chose the wrong person, who's the problem? That person or you?
The
That's
person doing the choosing, right? Yeah.
well, I mean, I don't know if either one
Okay.
of them is wrong. But the point that I'm saying is, it's not, we have an idea that you're looking for the right person. So I would pose this question. If
Okay.
you don't have strong relationship skills and you find the wrong person, you find the right person, what's going to happen there?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the reality for most people. 9 out of 10, that's the reality. You could like brothers, we like the the dopest women are like on your street. They're around the corner. They're everywhere. And for the
Mm.
sisters too, I know y'all don't hear this in the airspace and in media and stuff like that. It's more good black men out here than there are not. But what's
Mm.
happening is two people come together and they don't know how to build a relationship. And then like I will see people have a relationship of 2.5 years, and in the last 6 months, they'll say, I guess I picked the wrong one because the relationship
Mm-mm.
like you didn't pick the wrong one. What about the first 2.5 years you had? Like, it's not the wrong one. Like, you just don't know how to deal with this issue that's in front of you.
That's,
You know,
yes. Okay.
and
Okay.
so we do that kind of stuff because we don't even know how to articulate what's going wrong.
Mm.
Relationships require skills, and if you don't develop skills, any relationship will suffer. Me and
Yeah.
Yawasha, if we don't continue to develop our skills, this relationship will go south. And then what I'm gonna say? Well, she was the wrong one for me. After 23 years, like
Right.
know, like so I'm not a right one, wrong one person. All black
Okay.
people have divinity in them. And if it can be tapped, everybody's the right one. Every black now, you start telling me you're dealing with Asian people or white people. Now that's something different. Now you better pick the right one. If that's what you're doing, you know what I mean? But I just, and I know that's not a popular thought. I know people really
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
believe I gotta find the right one. And you've been
Yeah.
looking for 30 years and you ain't found the right one because they
Mm.
really don't exist because everybody's the right one. You just gotta have the right
Mm.
skill. That's it.
So do you think that when that happens in relationships where someone says, okay, wait, let me just make sure I get acknowledge some few people that came in. Hey, just do it. Thanks for coming through and supporting. Peace to Daryl. Thanks for passing through and showing some support. All right. So my question with what you just said, do you think that when we say, oh, 5 maybe 5 years later, maybe I just chose wrong, Do you think that is a deflection from like taking personal accountability? Is that a way for
No,
us to
no,
cope with what
no,
happened?
no, no. I
Okay.
don't think
o-
that. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think it's deflection. I think really, I don't think that there is a narrative in the airspace with
Mm.
Black people that to be successful in relationship, you need relationship skills. So because
Mm.
that's not a narrative,
I agree.
that's something that very few people are ever going to say. If you hear people saying that, they people that work with us or people that follow us in some kind of way. Most people talking, and it's a few people I see out there biting our stuff. I see y'all biting our stuff. It's all good
Uh-huh.
as long as it helps us come together. But I think people defer to what they know. They're not really deflecting as much as they're trying to make meaning of what has happened. So if
Mhm.
something doesn't work, you know, the implication of saying I chose the wrong one or I guess this isn't the right one is the implication, the reverse implication is this. If I choose the right one, I don't have to do anything else. It's just like voting, right? It's just like
Mm.
voting. We have been sold this idea in this time of elections. This is the reference, right? We've been sold this idea that as long as we vote, we have a responsibility, we've been told, to vote, but not to become politically mature, not to become politically active, just vote. Voting
Mm.
is a ritual, it's a
Mm.
thing that you do.
Mhm.
After voting is over, we have no idea what to do as a group. And so, because of that, we think pulling the lever is the thing that is the responsible act. So, if I chose the right candidate, my political environment will change, and that's not true. The candidates are entering into a system that even if they're sincere when they start, because most of them are, they're sincere to make change.
Mhm.
One term in the system, they
Mhm.
become the system. And so
Mm.
now they can't make a change on something that they're a part of or that is, swallowing them. And it's not about corruption. Certainly, some of them are corrupt.
Mhm.
But what happens is what makes a land operate, politics is the governance of land. What makes a land operate is the systems that work. What makes a
Mhm.
relationship operate is the systems that work. Most people don't have systems. They don't have courting, mating, dating systems, so they will date for 15 years and then
Mm.
say, I guess this wasn't the right one. If you had a system, you could find that out in 90 days, but you don't
Mm.
have a system. And so that's why I asked you, who's more wrong when you don't have a system? Nobody. You're both wrong. You're both
Yeah.
unprepared. And so, we've been lured into the gender war argument because if we understood what I'm saying right now, we wouldn't even fall for that narrative. We wouldn't fall for it
Mhm.
because we know better that no, culturally we have a system to vet and select men and women, and then we know how to build a relationship after that. You can easily see who your problem is. It's not the men or the women, it's the absence of a cultural model that helps us build a relationship. And who
Mhm.
that away and who's making sure we don't get that back. That's your problem. It's not
Right.
it's not the co-victim who her victimization looks one way, his victimization looks another way, and then they erroneously believe they are the cause of each other's victimization. I Stacey Abrams lost in Georgia, and she said something about the black male vote is the issue. But why are black men not voting? That's what the issue is. We don't have
Mhm.
change in the political system. The political
Mhm.
system is historically oppressing us and disenfranchising us. So
Mhm.
going to we don't believe that an individual can go into that system and change it.
And change it. Yeah.
So when you pop up, we don't it ain't even about you. It's
That's
about us.
true.
We don't have no faith in that system. And so I think that when it comes to relationships,
Mhm.
um, we're asking the wrong questions. And we don't
Mm.
we don't know what to do. That's just the bottom line.
Mhm.
Everybody deserves love. Every black person deserves love. And I work with black folks on many continents. Everybody wants love. So why
Yes.
don't we have it? If you deserve
Yes.
it and you want it, why is it that you don't have it? You don't know
Right.
how to go get it. And you
Mm.
somehow think that we have a lot of disempowering beliefs about, I hear everything from I'm just going to do nothing and wait for it to come to me because, hey, when you don't do nothing, it just comes. I'm like, in what universe? Like, jobs don't come with you. I've never seen a job come to your door and say, hey, is who's at the door? A job. And I'm looking,
Right.
you know what I mean?
You're
Like
right.
I've never seen these kinds of things happen in any other, but we're defeated. So we believe, we say these kind of things. But I think the bottom line is people just don't know what to do to make relationships work. And so because they don't, they got to find meaning as to um, why it's not working. And the number one thing everybody says is something is wrong with everyone else.
Hmm.
And
I have a question. I need you to
but
expound just briefly, and then we're gonna get right into the reciprocity piece. You guys have talked about, hey, Nacha, how are you,
Hey.
Nacha? Um, I heard you guys briefly touched on this, kind of surfaced on the surface. The dating piece. Yeah. So you said that we don't. Can you talk to me about dating? Why is it that you guys think that the dating process we got it all wrong and backwards? Please talk to me about that.
what you got to say about that?
Well, I would say most people are dating, they're hiding the fact that they're dating a lot of times
Hmm.
without having purpose and direction ahead of time. So most of the
Mm.
time we're dating just to pacify ourselves, make ourselves feel attractive, love, to have attention, but not necessarily with our purpose in mind.
Okay.
So compatibility, whether the other person even wants a relationship. So a lot of times we don't have input like we would have had if we were in the most harmonious arranged marriages. So people have a negative idea about arranged marriages because they're pretty corrupt now, and they have proven not to always work per se.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people also have a lot more stories about fairy tale kind of love. So they want to find love for themselves
Mm-hmm.
instead of have someone put them together. But I think that when you date today without any input from friends or family, people who actually have an outside view of you
Mm-hmm.
to know who you are and what might actually be compatible with you, it gets into a messiness because eventually your core values do come out and so does the other person's. And when
Yeah.
we date, we tend to date in a matter of fact kind of way or
Yeah.
by our romanticized
Yeah.
lists. So a lot of times we're looking at the results of our core beliefs, but not the actual core belief. So many women want security.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural in a lot of different cultures. Women want to be protected. In a culture like ours, we're in the United States where women work, women earn money.
Yes.
So the idea of providing solely monetarily is not necessary for most women, like it is in many other countries where you have to say, is this man a good provider? So what we will do is we have some of that like left over, where
Yeah.
we'll say, I want a guy who makes six figures, or he has to at least make this amount, but we don't think about how he made the money, if he would share the money with us, if he's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a good father, or any of those things. So we just are looking at the matter of fact results,
Mm-hmm.
not saying maybe he's corrupt and made the money. Maybe he made the money in a great way, but it's not going to share it with you. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
he makes money, but is not a good father, right? So because we're dating in isolation like that, we tend to pick things that don't always go back to core values. And then when we're in the middle of the relationship, that's when we see what someone's beliefs and values are. And then we're saying, we're incompatible. And then we pick a couple things that we don't like and we put that, like the opposite of that, on the new
Yeah.
list. And we say, okay, this last guy, he made money, but he didn't communicate. So now I need a guy that communicates and makes money. But we still don't really narrow it down to how someone could be compatible to us. So I think the main problem in dating is that we could be using the internet and dating apps for good
Mm-hmm.
as a way to expand our net, but we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Those things tend to make us even more superficial about who we'll actually entertain and talk to and for how long. And we get into these kind of gender war conversations
Mm-hmm.
where the answer is more superficiality. Like, okay, just don't commit until after a year. Or it's just random things that actually don't go back again to any kind of value.
Mm-hmm.
It never takes that long. People don't know what they're doing when they're dating.
Okay.
And you either are dating for a good time or you're dating for mating, you're courting, right?
Recording.
Most of the people, like I'll say for men, we know right away. Women don't always know right away. Now the reverse is sold in media. So women pretend they know right away, and men pretend they're waiting to figure it out. I know a lot of married men, right? Myself and every married man that I knew that they met their wife within a week.
Hmm.
I don't know a lot of men who said, oh, it kind of grew on me, and then I felt like she was the right one. We don't have that experience. Women can have that experience because somebody can be pushing up on you that you don't really like initially, right? But men don't have it. This is something I don't think that a lot of women understand.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of women are out on dates with men who have no intention on being in a relationship.
Hmm.
What are you doing? I'm just out. Like we'll talk to couples all the time, and we separate. Nawash will talk to the man. I'll talk to the woman. Then I'll talk to the man, and I say, "Yo, you trying to be married? You trying to be in a relationship?" He's like, "Hell no."
Wait,
I'm
let me guess. She's saying something completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
So a man will if he likes you, he will spend time with you until that's not entertaining to him. But
Mm-hmm.
is he a man who wants a relationship? It's a lot of silly people that will say, "Don't bring up marriage and kids on a first date." Why not? That's like
Yes.
going to a house and seeing a house. I'm not bringing up the fact that I want to move in this house. And on the first tour, the real estate agent say, "Get your ass out of here." You know what I mean? Driving a car, everything that's serious. We started off with the end in mind. Now, let me tell you this: men who want to be married, I've interviewed about 3, 4 thousand men. They always say it right in the beginning. Now, Nawasha can bear my witness. This ain't, somebody told me I was in Brooklyn. Some brother said, I follow y'all. I like a lot of stuff you say. Some of your theories I don't agree with. I said, hold up, my brother. This shit ain't no theory that I'm telling you. I'm working with black people on 11 countries,
Mm-hmm.
16 countries celebrating the holiday. I've been with my wife for 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working with couples forever. How long did it take me to tell you that I wanted to marry?
Not long.
Like how long? Like,
I would say weeks.
yeah, like
Right. So like from our
I would
meeting,
say,
we reconnected
yeah, well,
from the
not from the
time
first
that
meeting because I was looking for you. I couldn't find you. And
we
and then
randomly met at a car wash. Well, not
Oh,
random.
okay.
Serendipity, fate, destiny, right? But when we just kind of had a chance encounter, and later on we reconnected. So we met each other just washing our cars at the car wash,
yeah, her and her
and
sister
then a
pushed
few
up on
weeks.
me.
I believe you, Mancho.
They did. They did. It's a legendary story. I have a poem all about it, but they saw that I had like a whole bunch of stuff. I had like paper towels and stuff like that.
He came
So
prepared.
so I like to try to keep my whip clean. So I was cleaning my car and they came over. Well, her sister came over and said, "Hey, can we borrow some paper towels from you?" And I was like, yeah, girl, like, damn, you tall. You know what I mean? I said, that's your sister, that's your twin. Like they look like twins. And she said, "No, we're not twins. A lot of people think we twins." So she took the paper towel, and I was like, "Wow, y'all are beautiful." I said, "Your sister is really beautiful." Then she came back. Nawasha came back
Because we
over.
we had a conversation off to the side, like I can't. We gonna have to split up asking for the paper towels because he might be trying to think that it's more than paper towels.
It was.
So we had a
Hey,
deal, like you
hey,
go
brothers, it
ask.
was more than paper
If
towel.
you ask for them, then I'll return them. So that was our deal, like with each other. But after that, we met a few weeks
Yeah.
later,
Then
and
after
then
I tried to find her and couldn't find her because I asked her for a number, she said no. She said, I'm at this car wash often. I'm like, I've been here my whole life. I never seen you at this car wash before in my life. And she's like, no, I'm around. I'm here. So I'm like, man. So they leave, I leave, and then I was looking for her. Like I looked at the car. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the license plate, but I looked at the car and I was like, I'm gonna remember this car. Turns out that was her sister car anyway. Or were you both in two separate cars? I forget how it went, but in any event, I had a good friend of mine who had a framing shop. He did frames, framing. So I had some African art and I was getting it framed. And he was like, Macho,
Hey, Sherelle.
your stuff is here for pickup,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I got this sister, she's working with me. She's, she'll be there when you get it. And he said her name. I was like, ooh, that's that. So I went and from then on it was,
yeah.
we've been together ever since then.
So
But
wait, go
but
ahead.
when I first started talking to her, I said, listen, I'm a single parent. This is my deal, blah, blah, blah. And I'm really looking to get married. I want to
Okay.
wife
Mm-hmm.
and so that was the pretext. And she didn't just jump in. She was kind of like, okay, let's see what you on. And then we started moving and moving. And at the time, she was planning to go to Miami um, to finish school. So we from the same town, but we never had met. Actually, her
Mm-hmm.
mother and one of my uncles knew each other in high school,
Wow.
but we didn't know each other at all. Our families didn't really, we didn't know each other. But then, you know, after that, she did actually go to Miami, and we did a long distance relationship for a while. But
Mm-hmm.
by the time she went, we was already locked in. You know,
Mm-hmm. Peace,
uh,
Mr. Heat Shit. Mm-hmm.
so but
So I have a question because I feel like you just threw a wrench
mhm.
in people's dating process. So I'm not gonna just let you gloss over that. I'm gonna bring you back. So are you saying that when the brothers say to women, I want to be married, but I just ain't ready right now. I got to get this together. I got to get that together. And it's like they've been together, like they've been dating for like 2 years now. Are you saying that brothers are out here lying, or
No,
is there some validity to that sometimes where
no,
the man
there,
knows that? Okay, go ahead.
no, there is a false, there's a false belief that a lot of black men have because we're trying to measure ourselves by not the standard of women, but the standard of men. If a man is saying he wants to be married and he's saying he wants to marry you,
Mm-hmm.
Nawasha says something a lot that takes women aback when we're in counseling. 9 times out of 10, black men are not lying about anything that they're telling you. They tell you when they want to be with you. They tell you when they don't. You can hear it or you cannot hear it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Most black men who say they want to marry you, they want to marry you.
I think
They
that
don't. They don't have to say that to do anything,
the
to have
challenge,
sex, to do nothing.
a lot of men, not just black men, but a lot, but especially black men,
Mm-hmm.
when there's like a concern about economics and a concern about providing, most men, when they're saying, I'm just not ready, it's about something other than you and the relationship. This is why personal purpose and, being on task with yourself is so important. But what happens a lot of times is people think, especially men, I have to be making this amount of money. I have to have these kinds
Yeah.
of things first. And
Mm-hmm.
so what happens is you can be with someone for 2 years, 5 years, if you don't really have a plan to get those things, it's just a wish.
Yeah.
And the time will pass and a woman will be bitter because a lot of times,
Mm.
personally, we are able to achieve our goals, right? So, and if like I was saying, a woman is working because this is the United States and many women are working, even if they're not working for somebody else, they're working for themselves. This is America where people open
Yeah.
businesses, thousands of businesses every day get opened up. And what happens is a person can't understand because we don't have good levels of communication what the deeper issue actually is. So we say things like, I just got to get things together. And someone's like, well, hey, we already living together. We already have a child. We don't like so many things that happen that, there's a miscommunication. And this is why it's so important to have the conversation early,
Mm-hmm.
but to also just be living in a way that is in alignment with what you want. Because a lot of times, men and women are not living in alignment with what they actually want. We're settling, or we're living in a way that we think this is the best we can get,
Mm-hmm.
or we're living in a way where we're like, hey, this will do for right now, but I'm like halfway out. So those
Yeah.
are not congruent. And
Mm-hmm.
so, at the deepest level that we are sometimes not even aware of, when there are incongruencies between your mind and your heart, you're not going to manifest what you actually want as quickly as you want it. It's much quicker. And this is something that, when we talk about indigenous culture and our ancestors and using the unseen type of things, this is
Mm-hmm.
one of the unseen things is that in order to
Mm-hmm.
manifest, you have to be in alignment with mind and heart. And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to relationships, we have a lot of conflicting images that go against our heart. And we also have a lot of heartbreak, even if it's coming from our parents and caregivers and our first love. So we want something deeply that we don't have proof will happen or
And
will happen for us.
right,
And
we
so
don't know how to
then
get it.
we start living in a way that's without the integrity of who we really are. So even when we're being good people, we may self sabotage, we may not set boundaries and linger in a relationship where somebody's saying, I do want to marry you. We have to be able to say, okay, great, when? Like sometimes just words is satisfying enough where we
Right.
revisit the conversation and then we're thinking, well, when is he going to ask, and that happened with us. I thought Marsh was going to propose on the day that he didn't propose, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just going to let that conversation go. But the challenge of being able to say we have a plan, even if the plan changes and has to pivot and adjust, we at least have one.
Yeah.
And the pacifying of I love you too, or I really want to
Okay.
marry, and let's move in together. We do some of the other things like go grocery shopping, pay the bills. We do some of that super deliberately. Like, what do you want for dinner? I'm going to pick it up from the store.
Mm-hmm.
This bill is due by the 15th of the month. But then when it comes to other plans, we're kind of like more ambiguous, you
I
know?
think I think
Yeah.
I think men study women. Women do not study men. Women study their dreams, and they try to put men into their dreams. Um,
Mm.
and I think that that's not a like a fault of women. It's a style of women that doesn't work for women. You're not going to get in a relationship with a man because you want to be. You're going to get in a relationship with a man because a man wants to be in a relationship. And that in no way is like a slight to women. I don't want any women hearing that to
Mm-hmm.
think that's a slight to women.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is. It's a man that is going to initiate a relationship. Now, I see a lot of sisters today getting on their knees and proposing to men and stuff like that. That's out of bounds in terms of culture. I wouldn't recommend it because I'm gonna say this again. A man can be with you saying, I want to get married. I want to get married soon. I want to be married in the next 2 years. He ain't talking about you though. He's talking about him. He's talking about him. A man who wants to be married to you is saying, I want to marry you. Not I want to be married. And
Oh wow.
it's
Okay.
not a it's not a
Mm.
it's not a like afterthought. It's leading his
Mm.
it's leading his behavior. He's telling other brothers,
Yeah, because men,
that's my
yeah,
woman.
men
Like
want to
like
claim,
get
make a
up off of
claim,
her.
right?
Like the dude who on social. I don't want people all up in my business. You trying to take a little picture with him so you can put it on your social media, and he like nah, because I don't want people in my business. He's not into you like that. He's not into you like
I'm
that.
a private person.
Yeah, I'm a real private person. And then the Joker, you go to his page, he got 40 pictures of his sneakers and all kind of shit. Like he at the Sixers game, whatever. Like, what I mean? I thought you was private,
Right.
So I think that women have to understand that because men, the way we've been conditioned, um, a lot of people have been dissecting the way women have been conditioned. You got to really look at the way men have been conditioned. We have not been conditioned to value relationships. It's not that
Yeah.
we don't love women. We feel every emotion that women feel. We love women. We love black women. We want to be with them. We want to be in a position where we could do whatever we want for our woman, but we feel like we're at war. We feel like the odds are stacked against us. We don't necessarily always know how to overcome it, and we don't have community. So now this woman is inviting you into what you believe is death. It's not about her or you don't love her or whatever, but she's asking you to take on a position now that represents death in your conditioning, the way you've been conditioned since you were a child watching superheroes, and all the superheroes weakness is their woman. When you've been conditioned in music and sports where you married to the game and the women are just your mistress, they're gonna mess up your money or whatever. So this conditioning is long standing that the last thing I need to be thinking about is committing my life to a woman when the truth is the opposite. So we have to start reconditioning men, and it won't take forever. All it takes is to embrace your culture because the messaging you got before is coming from the very enemy that you're talking about. He's the one teaching you this. She's the one teaching you you know, the psycho feminist movement. And I know a lot of black women trying to align with feminism. I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling it psycho because it's psycho.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear some African centered women, I'm womanist, and I'm trying to put a spin on feminism. Feminism is an alien concept to black people. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be that to get respect as a woman. But
Mm.
that ideology is telling you to go out here and you force the relationship. You do that, you're going to be in a relationship with the wrong one. If you do that, as you were saying earlier, Hanifa, it's not the wrong one. That's the wrong technique. The greatest problem
Mm.
that women have is the science of love, the steps, the
Okay.
method, the
Okay.
technique. So if it's 7 steps to get to a long-lasting relationship, I always say they start at 1 and then they go to 9. It's only 7 steps, but they at 9. Then they come back down to 4. Then they at 6. Then they at 3. Then they at 2. It's just no methodology. We know that as men.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where we get the rap that we're playing games because there is no methodology because you can't lead a relationship, women. I'm sorry. Like it is what it is. You
So
you
I have
know
a question, Mancho. I have a question to that real quickly. Now I know that the last time you were here, you said that men don't
mhm,
value relationships, right?
yeah.
Okay. So is that something, and we haven't even gotten to our topic yet, Lord have mercy. This happens all the time with y'all. Okay, so is that something that women who call themselves dating, should that be something that they're aware of when they are, trying.
Absolutely.
Okay, but
Absolutely.
but here's the thing. Most women would say, well, if men don't value relationship, then why waste my time trying to connect with or build
Well,
one
well,
with them?
well, understand the statement that I'm saying. I'm saying that men are not conditioned to value
Okay,
relationship,
got you. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So a man will be totally enamored and interested in you, but he doesn't even believe in relationships. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like
Hmm.
he feeling you. You want a relationship, but he don't have no intention of being in it. Like, where you at? LA, I'm gonna catch a plane, and like all of this silly stuff that I see women trying to do to get him to prove that he likes you. He don't even want to be in a relationship. Do you understand? So
Mm.
once he's done, I don't care how dope you are as a woman, and all black women are dope. Okay, I don't care how good you are. how good the nana is, whatever you on, right? I don't care how good it is. Eventually, you come to the line of now let's build a relationship.
Yes.
And I'm saying a lot of men don't want that. They don't value it. So
Mm.
they will value you over being a relationship until they don't value you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What we have to do with men is recondition them to value relationships by explaining the art of Black love culture, which is the why. Why is it important for me to be in a relationship?
Okay.
But what I think is backwards that a lot of women try to do is figure out what's wrong with the men when
Yes.
what you actually can control is what's wrong with y'all. Like
Yes.
you
Yes.
can't control what's wrong with the men. So stop trying to figure it out. What you are not seeing is that you like a lot of times these relationships go bad. I don't blame either one of them. I say it's two people who don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as long as two people are in a relationship don't know what they're doing, the relationship's going to go bad. I advocate women knowing what they're doing, but for building the relationship, it's more important that the men have a idea of where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean he knows what he's doing just because
Mm-hmm.
he knows that, but he should he should know where he's going, right?
Okay, wait, wait. I gotta take a pause for the cause. Pause
But
for the cause. Okay, because I see some questions came in. Mr. He said, peace family, salute to Hanifa, the beautiful couple and chat. Sherelle was in the chat. Peace to Sherelle. The wireless woman. I want to say hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. This is Baba Khalil. Peace to you, Baba Khalil. I had some questions that came in. I want to make sure I hit them. Oh, wireless woman was saying, and you can speak to this after. Let me just run through. So she said she disagrees. She feels that women study men more than their degrees.
no,
Um, okay, I'm gonna
no,
come back to that.
let's
I'm
stop on
coming.
that because I
Okay, I'm
respect
coming
her.
back to that.
Wireless woman,
I'm
no.
walking. Okay, so Iapo is in the house. He says, peace at Hanifa Nayela. Peace to you, sister. Peace to you, Iapo. Thanks for passing through. And Mill says, good evening at Hanifa. And panel. Good
Mm.
evening to you and Mills. Let me see who else. I want to make sure. There you go, Hanifa. Okay. Um, who else? Oh Lord, somebody is thing in my chat. I think a man doesn't value a relationship, doesn't understand who they are. And then Yapo, that may be true in general, but I always valued relationship profoundly. So it is difficult for me to relate to that statement. I don't disagree in general, but I can't relate to it. Let me see. We have, yeah, I see it. I'm about to delete those. Hey Sherelle. She says she's still here. Hey Sherelle. And the wireless woman, I'm all about disengaging from these current dynamics. So let me go back to the wireless woman. You can respond to this. She says she disagrees. She feels that women study men more than their
I
degrees.
want to respond to that one.
Sure, go
I
ahead.
don't think that women study men in the same way that men study women. So by
Not at all.
study, I mean most women don't understand how men communicate. We say things like men don't communicate or they're not emotional. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times women look at men's what they have acquired and we make assumptions about what their values are again. So a man who makes money must be smart, must be this, must be that. And those are the kinds of things that we tend to study, but we don't tend to study what moves a man to like commitment. We don't know necessarily what the questions are that vet where someone is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think of relationships? Like I said, I think most men are very honest when they communicate,
Mm-hmm.
and most women just aren't asking the right questions. So we look at a person and say, maybe by their age or what they're doing, or, some of those facts again, what that might mean. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not the same thing that men understand what to say to women to have sex. Men understand what to say to women. They understand how to talk to each other about women and
Mm-hmm.
put women into different categories. Women don't necessarily do that. We don't say, hey, girl, da, 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 about these men that we see, because a lot of times we feel, whether it's real or not, a
Mm-hmm.
certain level of, maybe we have our core friends, but just
Yeah.
as a group, we feel a level of competition with each
Mm-hmm.
other because women tend to have eyes. Many women by category can say
Okay.
they are attracted to the same kind of man.
Okay.
And that sometimes seems like competition from a woman's point of view, where men, if they're saying, I want a good woman or I want a beautiful woman, their level of competition is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't look at, they think, hey, I can walk outside and meet a woman if I say the right things or if she's in the right place. I definitely can find someone to have sex with. I can find someone as a companion. And I
Yeah.
also think that by your age and your generation and level of experience, that also comes into play. So a lot of times for men, especially in their 20s in our culture, that's even when they believe in relationships, like we saw in the comments, it's for the future per se. So it's like, hey,
Mm.
when I'm done with school, when I have my job, when I hit 30, I'll stop, just having random women.
They say I'll settle down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the terminology we use, is that it's some type of settling, and it's also down, right? So in our language, we're also saying, we're not saying I'm gonna, marry up, or I'm gonna, a link up is
Mm-hmm.
a casual thing, right? Versus settle down. That's kind of permanent. That's like old school ball and chain. And I think that
Yeah.
we just have to know that when we as women speak, we don't know how men communicate. We don't know how to influence with
Mm-hmm.
our femininity. We tend to look at the world and see that what we have recognized as masculinity is leading, and we tend to want to lead with that, even when we're dealing with men, which is not complementary, it's more similar. And most men don't find that approach to be attractive because it's
Mm-hmm.
much more similar. At the best, you'll be friends and like buddies,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the
Mm-hmm.
complementary energy that is more motivating, even for women. We
Mm-hmm.
want complementary energy as well. And so we don't always notice the things about a man that we should be noticing. We sometimes use our qualifiers on men. Men don't do that
Mm-hmm.
for themselves. They don't
Yeah,
use
I
masculine qualifiers for
that's the
women.
point. That's the point I was going to get to. And here's the basic, like to cut away the delusional. If women study men and they understand men, then the majority of women don't want to be in relationships because that's what's happening. If you understand men and you are studying them and you want relationships, you would be able to produce that. So which one is it? Like you don't understand, or this what you want?
I
Because
actually,
if you looked at men and women and you asked what is happening out here in the black dating world, is it more what men want or more what women want? What do you think, Hanifa? Just your personal
it's
opinion.
definitely more of what women want.
So what is happening out here, the way the relationship dating is going,
Mm-hmm.
this is what you think women want. 7 out of 10 of us are unmated,
No,
single.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no.
So who do you think it's reflecting more? What men want or what women want?
So it would be men since they don't
Right,
really, right.
right.
S-
And so this is one of the ways we can see that women don't understand really what's happening, because the thing that you want, you can't produce it, right? Because if you understood what's going on, like all the women that I run into that are single, they pretend, they don't say it, but they pretend that they're not with the mess and they're celibate, when in fact that's not the case. They actually deal with men, they have sex with men, and those men are not committed to them in any way, right? And so they play that game for long enough, and then you old, you're not as cute, you're not as hot. And this is no attack on the women,
No, no,
because
no.
the,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
issue is we have to get the men valuing relationships more, right? But the way things are going, it's definitely tearing our people apart. So it's not about somebody's fault. I'm not saying it's more women's fault or more men's fault. But when I see that women say, because invariably I always find a woman or two that says, no, women really study men, we really know what's going on. Then how you don't have what you want then? how are you in the situation that you're in? What have you learned? What what are the guaranteed things that you know now that are helping you to get closer to what you want? And most women can't answer that because they're not actually studying men. Black men are not that hard to figure out. Most women don't even know that black men don't value relationships because
Mm,
you value one and he likes you. He meets
But this is
you,
part of our
and
conditioning.
then you think that he can fit into the story that you have in your mind.
that's
The
true.
idea that to ask him what he wants is not even on your mind a lot of times.
That's very true, Mancho.
It's not, you don't get there until you feel like, okay, now I vested too much in him. I done slept with him 4 times, and I don't even really know that he's married. You know what I mean? And then when you find it out, you somehow say these men ain't shit. And I can't accept that. I can't accept that.
That's
That's
part of our conditioning, though. When we, just like men have their ideas about being the hero and being the
Yes.
superhero, having their kryptonite be the woman. A lot of women, we have fairy tale conditioning where we have a destiny and a fate and a story, and the man fits into that. So this is again at the subconscious level, when truly, as psychologists, people say somebody has a Cinderella complex or a Peter Pan syndrome. Those things are really named after behavioral issues. So what happens for a lot of women is we do have our list, but the list is not based on what will really happen in a day-to-day relationship. We do have our cutoffs, like I gotta have children by the time I'm 35. I want to be married. All
Yes.
my friends are married. So what happens is
Yes.
we do have a story that when we meet someone and they say things that we like, we say, great, this could be it. Right. And we don't always consult and say, do you, what are your views? Not do you want a relationship, as Mantra said, because somebody could say yes,
he ain't talking
but
about
they
you though.
mean like in 5 years with somebody else.
Right.
You want to say, what are your views on relationships? And then someone will say, well, you got to settle down if you're going to be in a relationship. Or it's definitely going to be, you got to guard your money. Like you'll be able to hear people's truth because most men are not trying to lie. I think women are much more sophisticated with answers to questions and being more hidden. Most men are very upfront because most of them have not been asked those questions. So your first instinct when you have never been asked a question is to tell the truth. Even the way you stutter or stall would be an answer, right? So most men haven't had the question, so they're just going to answer it. We have to be able to evaluate those questions, like, what do you think about women? How's your relationship with your mom or
Yeah.
your immediate caregivers? Like those types of things that really let you know what someone is thinking. And you could just straight up ask somebody what are their 3 top values and how do they come up with those? Are those their top 3? But we don't really talk about those types of things. You know, um, we want quick results, right? We've got our vision and we're ready to put the puzzle pieces in place. And that sometimes hurts us. And it's not until we look up and see one piece is missing that we get frustrated. And like when my brother was a little kid, that means the whole puzzle's going on the floor and we're starting over. Like once you get
Right.
frustrated, you're like, that's it. And we go to look for somebody else after we lick our wounds in the corner for a year. But, that's not an answer. And being in the experience is not the same thing as studying.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I know
That
something about my brothers, I know something about my male cousins, I know something about my father and uncles. I understand how men think, how men communicate, how
right.
men
Women are not
interact.
studying men.
Most of the time, we're not doing that. And men protect us from that or guard us from that. So a lot of times, you're not going to be in your uncle's conversations and your brother's conversations. Your brother doesn't want you around his friends for a reason. So we have to do a different kind of studies because what happens with men is they're sometimes taught how to get what it is that is their vision. If it is sex, if it is companionship, your uncles and brothers will tell you how to get that, right? Like this is what you got to say to a woman, this is what you got to buy her, this is what you got to
Hmm.
do, this is how you got to present to her family. Someone will tell you how to get results, but we don't have that same kind of upbringing. And not that you should be just trying to manipulate, but we don't have it either way. We're only really influenced in that communal kind of cultural, social lesson which is a fairy tale syndrome, or we're definitely geared towards movies and music and books. And all of those are fiction for the most part.
So I wanna say speak to that because I think I agree here. I think that what the wireless woman is speaking to, and I'm gonna bring up her other comment, and then do you guys mind if I open the lines?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna open the lines for anyone that's in the chat that wants to come up. If you don't want to put your camera on, just before you get on stage, you're backstage, just show me that it's you, and then you can turn your camera off. And I would prefer you cam up, but if you're a little shy, and you have a question and you want to engage Mancha and Washa, they're
Show your
open to
pretty
it. So
face.
I'm putting the link in the chat for anyone that wants to come up and maybe ask a question. But I wanted to say to what you said that I think that there are anecdotal, right, situations, right? But generally, I agree that we don't study men. I think that we have been spoon fed what we think men want, right? Through TV, through media. And that's literally what we're carrying around as information and intel on men. But it's not necessarily true, right? And so these are the things that we are projecting onto men when we meet them, what we've learned, what we've been programmed. So I would dare say, I don't think so. And in fact, the way that we're socialized, I say this all the time as women, we are very entitled when it comes to relationships. We don't really, most women don't really care what a man wants.
Exactly.
Like you
There's a
just
lot of
said, it's like,
entanglement.
what
Yeah.
is my story? What is my dream? And where can I fit him into this? And if I gotta force fit him up in there, I'm just gonna force fit him. But if I like him enough, right? Even if he's just out on the perimeters of the dream, and still he's still there somewhere, right? So I do agree with that we don't study because we're not socialized that way. We are
Yeah.
socialized as we are the prize, men pursue us, so it's all about what we want. So we don't really necessarily have a need to now because of the dominant, like what do I want to say, it's a male dominated kind of world. I think the idea is that the men are making these rules. This is how women should be, and so forth. So it could feel like we are studying like men, like everything we do is around men. But
Mhm.
studying and being
Right.
informed is two different things. And I do
That's
not
true.
think generally we study men as
I
women
think
because we don't have to.
it's just like the dominant white culture. We don't really understand
That's
oppression
true.
and racism, even though we're
That's true.
dealing with it every day.
Hmm.
So if you ask most people what racism is, they don't know. If you ask most people how it's affecting them, they don't really know,
Hmm.
right? We're sometimes looking for the overt being called words or denied jobs, or but not in the covert of this what the system actually is. And I think that the point that you're making is
Hmm.
the issue, is that because we feel like we're around them and we feel like we have to deal with maleness, we feel like, hey, I understand it because I've have to work around it in this way that it's oppressive. But I think
Hmm.
some of the byproduct of not having homes that are completely
Yeah.
unified
Yeah.
is that although we might have our fathers, they might be more distant.
That's
So
true.
our uncles, fathers, the relationship that we would have gotten, because many cultures, the woman is the prize. So
Yeah.
there's partial truth in that, because this is how your legacy is going to go into the future, is if a woman agrees to have your children. So for many,
Hmm.
many cultures, the
Hmm.
woman is the prize,
Oh, she
and
absolutely is the prize.
you still,
Yes.
but it's not an entitlement, it's more of a responsibility. So this
Right.
is where the challenge is that your fathers and brothers would also be giving a perspective on relationships. So what
Yeah.
we have is like a skewed perspective because of
Yeah.
the influence of media, and then influence of our aunties and moms and grandmoms trying to protect us from mistakes, not necessarily guiding us into what we do want. It's more of away
Hmm.
from what they didn't want, right?
That's true.
So those
Hmm.
types of things mean that what you think you've studied or what you think has happened to you is still not the same as embodying, studying, learning, like it's not the same. And we just have, I think we have a superficial relationship with learning, period, and study,
I
period.
agree. I
We're very
agree.
entitled as Americans in a lot of ways, but I do think that women in these Western cultures are entitled in relationships. And I think men know that about us,
Hmm.
in their study of us. So what they know is this world of the relationship belongs to the women. So I can say I have my 5 go-to talking points. And these will work with them because they're on the covers of magazines at the supermarket
Yes.
and they pop up on Twitter. So I know what to say and how to make a joke. And
Yeah.
you know, it just becomes the entitlement, the lack of experience around older men, the lack of protection in that way
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
ourselves, and someone can still tell you how to pull back a little bit so that you don't be free range in your femininity where you actually get hurt. That's for your dad and your uncle and your brothers and your cousins to say, so
Yeah.
that it comes across in a loving way instead of how we have now. The reflex is the sting of things like, the gender wars, the manosphere, what we're getting, even in some of those things are the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to acknowledge it because of the way it's coming across, because it's not our brother, it's not our dad, it's not our grandfather. But some of the statements about how men think, some of the statements about how men think of relationships and think of women, some of it is true. Some of
Yeah.
that is skewed from not having influence of mothers and fathers again. So this
Yeah.
is why it's, I think, a cyclical kind of thing that we definitely have to address by having more happily coupled people talk about the benefits of relationship and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy relationships. I think we're in a time of drama, so that's a lot
Yeah.
of what we get in media. And
Mm-hmm.
for the things that are positive, a lot of times people don't want to tune into those things. So we're
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
addicted to toxicity and dysfunction,
Yes.
where it's hard to compete that someone could actually be fulfilled and happy, and that could be entertaining or adventurous. That's a hard sell in
Yeah.
this right now.
Yeah.
So I want to shift into the actual topic, which is reciprocity and respect. That's okay. The first hour was bomb. I love it. So okay, reciprocity. Let's start there. So when you guys think of reciprocity in the work that you guys do, and I'm sure this comes up, and I'm sure you guys teach on it and so forth. How would you guys define reciprocity within a relationship? What does that
Well,
look like?
well, so the first thing is, like, just understand that we're culturally based,
Okay.
right? And so the premier philosophy, life philosophy that we live by is Ma'at.
Okay.
Ma'at has 7 virtues, 10 principles, and 42 laws.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are familiar with the 42 laws or have heard about them. They're the precursor to the 10 commandments and really a lot of other things. But if you go around the continent or anywhere Black people have been, you will see a similar moral ethical system.
Mm-hmm.
Sunum bunum, just everywhere you go where Black people are indigenous, they
Mm-hmm.
have this moral ethical code that they live by. Ma'at being, the oldest in this time period. And so of the 7 virtues, they are truth, justice, harmony, order, balance, reciprocity, and propriety. So
Mm-hmm.
we talk about reciprocity a lot.
Okay.
Another thing that a lot of Black people don't know is that indigenously, this concept that we talk about called karma is not a real thing, right?
Okay.
Black Africans do not advocate the concept called karma. Now, over here in the West, because white people introduced us to a like a kind of misinterpreted Buddhism or Hinduism,
Mm-hmm.
we say karma is a bitch, and what you
Mm-hmm.
do is going to come back around to you. Really, karma is dealing with reincarnation and some other stuff that doesn't really apply to us. But
Okay.
what Black people are talking about, what they mean when they're saying karma, is actually magnetism, which is an African concept, which is expressed through reciprocity.
Okay.
What is magnetism?
Okay.
It says that whatever you do in the world, you're actually doing it to yourself. It doesn't come around from
Mm.
somewhere else. It is actually what you're doing, you're doing to yourself. So you're ignorant and you don't know what you're doing when it comes to relationship. So guess who you get in relationships with? People who ignorant and don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of it.
Mm-hmm.
We have toxic masculinity and toxic femininity is afoot right now, but we're misunderstanding that it's the women who are exhibiting a toxic masculinity, and it is the men who are exhibiting a toxic femininity. We don't understand this. So we're saying these words, but we don't understand this. When the women are toxic and masculine, they're going to get toxic feminine men. When the
Mm.
men are toxic and feminine, they're going to get toxic masculine women, because the frustrations that we feel for one another and the inability that we have to like show up in relationship, it comes out as the reverse or inverse of each other.
Okay.
So a lot of men, they don't have too much to say. I don't want to talk about it. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. However you want to have sex, great. Whatever. Like, just leave me alone. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
I can do to get this over with. And that goes from the conversation to the date to sex, whatever. Soon as I get it over with, I'm good with that. That is a very passive and very receptive energy. And
Mm-hmm.
women are bullish about fulfilling the fairy tale that's in their mind. Tonight's got to
Mm-hmm.
be this, and you got to sit right here and say this. When they come out, I'm going to drop my cloth. I want you to pick it up. It's like a cartoon. You want this cartoon to manifest instead of the actual relationship you have. And so when it doesn't, because little boys don't watch fairy tales, right? So when
Right.
it doesn't manifest that
They
way,
do sometimes, but they don't relate to that main
yeah,
character.
they because
They're
the
the stand in
character,
Prince
yeah,
Charming.
the character doesn't even have a name most
It
of the
doesn't.
time. He's just Prince. He has a description,
The
the
Prince.
Shining Knight.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
you just want him to be that. And when he doesn't value that, see the importance of being that, he actually resists against it,
Mm-hmm.
which makes you naturally upset, disappointed. And so you want it more. And now you're becoming more aggressive. Even in your soft feminine style, there's a certain level of aggression. If
Mm-hmm.
a man's going to be with me, he's got to.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? He's not going to be with you because it's a whole bunch of other people he could be with. You know what I mean? And so we're dysfunctional in this reciprocity thing. Like, look, and this is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you could easily see it in the question you asked before
Mm-hmm.
that I asked you. If women are studying men and understanding them, and I'm like, almost every woman I meet in the world wants to be in a relationship, why you ain't in one? Because you don't know what you're doing, and you're dealing with men who don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Men, I'm telling you, and I saw brother Yapu made a good point that I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
get back to some time ago.
I'll go back to it. Mm-hmm.
Um, Men always know. They always like. I'm telling you, like I'm telling you, I have talked to literally thousands of black men from everywhere. It's never like it never dawns on them. The only dilemma that men have is they have a value system of white men. So they want to tell you, but they don't think they have enough money, or they don't think they look good enough, or something that they're competing with in their own mind about themselves, their value system. So, this marketing campaign, this propaganda campaign of black hate is treacherous on black men and women. So
Mm-hmm.
we both think we're not enough, and we're actually everything the other one needs, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
think we're not enough. So, like, I deal with so many single women and say, "Hey, I'll go to the justice of the peace. I'll do whatever. We don't gotta have no big wedding or whatever." Well, a lot of men won't propose because they like, man, the average wedding costs $45,000. I $45,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? And so then he will say, she the one, but man, I still got $150,000 of college debt, or I owe money to the military, or the ill one, child support got me tied up, or something. So he will hesitate for that reason, but he knows right away. He knows
Mm.
right away. If you go out on a second outing, he know. If he asks,
Really?
he know. And let me say this. This is something that I know women don't know.
Okay.
We don't live by a fairy tale syndrome, but we do have a visionary idea of us
Yeah.
and our ideal woman. So when
Okay.
we meet her, the day that we meet her, we know. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
and we're very clear on it. When I met Nawash, I met her with her sister, two extremely beautiful women. They were similar to the point that I thought they were twins, but they were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We always know. We know what
Mm-hmm.
we're looking for. We're not. It's never a woman is trying to figure it out, because if you're a beautiful woman, 8 men a day are saying something, right? So you got to figure out which one of these guys is serious. But for us as men, the ones who really know, like uh, if I'm across the room and I saw Hanifa, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Hanifa don't know I came here because I've been watching her show and I drove 4 hours just to be in this room to act like I'm bumping into her, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
here for her. You
Mm-hmm.
feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so we know, you know,
I asked my husband the other day um if he vetted me. And his response, because you guys know I was doing the show with Alchema,
mm-hmm,
his response was, "You. This is recent." He said, You're not from the area, so I couldn't speak to anyone,
mm-hmm,
but you had a show, and it allowed me to have an idea of how you think.
mm-hmm,
Then I went to your social media
mm-hmm.
and see
Yeah,
what's on there and how you
yeah,
carry yourself, and
yeah. See how
so he
many
was
ass
like,
shots you got. If you got any booty shots on there, all of that. Yeah.
yes. And so
Uh-huh.
he said, he vetted me for a year. We were both watching each other. And let me tell y'all, I was pressed as hell, okay, because I was crushing him hard. But
Right.
I didn't realize, like, it got to a point where I was just like, oh, he might just be seeing someone, because I swear I was throwing off hints. Man, sure, I was giving hints, okay? I
Right.
was
Right.
like,
Right.
I'm not sure he was picking up what I was putting down. I
Right.
didn't want
Right.
to be so
Right.
obvious and in your face. But now that I know Genesis and I know how he is, he's very principled, he's very disciplined. So it all makes sense. But he was vetting me for a whole year, until one day he just we had each other's numbers and he called me, and it was over from there. We had a
Listen, I didn't say.
conversation.
That's so interesting because like what you're saying, even though you may have had a crush on him,
Mhm.
when he called you and said, "Hey," whatever that conversation is, it's typically when men know they like someone and they're interested, it's typically, are you seeing someone? If you're not, then we should see each other, right?
Right.
Like, so they're trying to see who you are and if you have someone, and then they're putting in the claim, right? Because if they're interested, the idea would be, this woman is amazing and I've watched her for a year. If I don't say something to her, somebody else will, and I'm going to lose my opportunity. So men, and this is just one of the main things about men, again, that I think women don't haven't studied. Men appreciate things they can earn in a way more
Mm.
so than us, who, it's not always the negative entitlement, but
Yeah.
we are sometimes looking for things we can grow and nurture. Men know that about us. That if they give
Mm.
us a project, give us a thing, give us something to say, that it'll expand in our mind.
Yeah.
We don't always know that we, by a man's nature for the most part, they want to put in the claim for something and they want to feel worthy of the things that they get themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
that's different for us because a man will do that at work, a man will do that with his possessions, a man will do that in a relationship. There has to be something that he feels like, I'm a man and I am doing these things and I'm getting something for what I've done. Sometimes when we make things too easy for men, there's a perceived lower value, even though there's not.
Mm-hmm.
But their assumption is, why are you making this so easy for me? You must be making it easier for other people, or maybe you're not as amazing as I think you are, or something. Just like when we go to the dollar store versus a department store, like we are like, what's wrong with it? This is only $1. What's the matter with it? Right? So I think, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
Yapu said a great thing about marriage, right? And I think what his comment really sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I knew a couple who got married and the ceremony lasted longer than the marriage. True story. And we know a lot of couples like that
Yeah.
because
Really?
we
Expectations.
we live in a culture that promotes ceremony. It promotes an event and not an experience.
I agree.
So
Mm-hmm.
marriage is an experience.
Mm-hmm.
A wedding is an event.
Yes.
There's 1,000 shows about say yes to the dress and 5-minute wedding and all of these things. It ain't one show, especially for Black people. There has never been a show. We pitched a show to Aspire TV about something called the Love Train, training in your love relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, come on, get on the love train, right? So, was the idea we're going to take you to a place, to a happy relationship. And peace to Aspire TV. They didn't deny it, but they wanted to do the project, but we just, wires got crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Aspire TV was new at the time. Magic
Mm-hmm.
Johnson had started. They came out to our house and did a commercial with us, but we never got the project off of the ground. But they were really excellent to us, so I don't want anybody to think I'm saying anything negative about Aspire.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, we are a culture that's fascinated by an event, and so we want everything to be an event,
And then it doesn't live up to
and
our dream.
it doesn't live up to it. 45% of all divorced Black couples say, I was not prepared for marriage. What marriage actually is, the idea that I had of it, is not actually what it is. And so we
Mm.
always talk about those 7 skills, and one of them is legacy. How do we grow together so we don't grow apart? And then what does our marriage represent to the group? These are, you don't get there until you have a certain level of emotional maturity, because we don't care about nobody else when it comes to our relationship. But if you understand nation building, we got to. We got
Yeah.
our relationship has to be a symbol for the rest.
Reciprocity comes back in,
Right.
because we need
Yes.
to, a lot of times in a relationship, you can have a great wedding. It could definitely will be very, very particular about a flower or a color combination. But then when it comes to how are we going to communicate, how are we going to set goals, how are we going to get over hurt feelings, we're not as detailed as we were about trying out, 5 different cakes.
Right.
I want the lemon versus the vanilla versus the
Right.
vanilla. We're super detailed about those types of things because it's the event and it's the dream and it's the thing we're building up to. But we
Mm-hmm.
sometimes forget, I would say the majority of people forget that even in your wedding, you are busy. Some people don't even eat their meal. We have
That's
done
true.
many wedding
Yeah, we have
ceremonies,
done weddings
and
where we
people
didn't
have
even
said
eat.
they didn't even eat their food.
We
And
didn't eat a couple of them.
and we're not even the star of the show, right? But if everybody's talking to you and everybody's watching and everybody wants to say congratulations and everybody wants to take pictures, you'll get a dance, you'll be in the performance of the wedding. But then you're like, I got to take my plate to go and I'm catching my flight and we're going back to the hotel, whatever it is that you're doing,
Right.
you don't really understand what's happening. So for most people, the expectation of how marriage is going to be, I'm going to say many, many people never thought of it. But when they're in it, it becomes this kind of, well, this definitely isn't it. This is not what I expected.
This ain't the shit I thought about.
And this is how we know people who date for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years in their, even in being engaged, have a ceremony and their relationship, their marriage does not last as long. And part of that is just, this is not my expectation.
The failed
Life
expectation is a
is
greater
not
disappointment.
living up to my expectation, but also we subconsciously understand we don't have the skills to make things live up to our expectation. And it's just an area that we don't really, we talk about superficially, we talk about our hurts a lot, but it is not the same as fitness, wealth
Yes.
building. It is
Yes.
not the same. Like, hey, you know what? My money is not where I want it to be right now. What could I do? Where could I go? And how could I get money by next year, 5 years, 10 years? Sometimes those things are much more deliberate. Or I want to lose 20 pounds. I think I can do it. But even for us, the majority of Americans are overweight. If you
Mm-hmm.
ask someone, how do you lose weight? They will tell you, eat fruits and vegetables, drink water. But will they do it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're pacifying ourselves with food and
Yeah.
we're addicted to certain things. The same thing happens in relationships, but now it's multiplied by 2 people who have expectations and 2 hurts and 2 systems of skill sets, and all of that makes it much more difficult. And it's also harder to hide when you're not living up to your part and you're
Mm-hmm.
not being accountable. When you're in your house by yourself, you can eat whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can call you on it. But if you're in a relationship and you're like, yeah, I said I was going to do this, and somebody's like, hey, you said you were going to do it. You stop nagging me or stop talking about it, because now you have this external accountability. And it's something that we're not used to because we're very individualistic.
So
So we're not used to community and group. accountability.
So
So
I feel like, and this, I'm going to just say this. Like, okay, so I'm listening to what, and I want to get to the respect, because we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I'm going to get to the respect part of this. But from what you guys said, so you guys are telling me that it's not the I do that destroys the relationship, because you hear people talk about this. They were fine when they were together for 5 years. They were fine,
It
and then
works.
as soon as they get married, so what happens in those situations where you have a couple that's been together 5 years and they finally get married, and then all hell breaks loose? What
People,
what
and
happens?
I think for most women, expectations continue to rise.
Mhm.
So women want the relationship to go up. Marriage is a institution that once we cross that line,
Mhm.
I'm expecting something to change. There are a lot of
mm,
men and some women who say nothing is going to change. It's just a piece of
Mhm.
paper. We already
Yes.
are, um, both of those are true and they're both wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they're both true is that if you're consciously building a legacy, you should be increasing in money, in service to the community, in the deepening of your love. And so
Mm-hmm.
there is an expectation that it will change, but the core values should not change. They should still be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So for men, yeah, or others, it is just a piece of paper, but it is a piece of paper that is contractual, that represents something the way your license does, or your, if you into that, your social security or your lease or your car loan or whatever. It's the terms of behavior are spelled out in most of those contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a dreaded pressure that things will change. So people try to pretend that they shouldn't change. There is a concept that this is more than a piece of paper. So people try to
Mm-hmm.
promote that it's just a piece of paper. But anybody who does it understands that it's more than that. It's more than that. So it's not the I do that that makes the relationship go bad. It's the level of expectations being unable to be met. If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a good communicator and we're having a casual sexual relationship, the fact that I'm not a good communicator is not paramount. But if I'm not a good communicator and we get married, now that's a problem now. We live
Yes.
together,
Yes.
we're raising children under your poor
Yes.
coordination, we got bills to pay, we have other things to do, and you don't communicate that well. Now, the fact that you're not communicating is tenfold. It's
Mm-hmm.
not what it used to be. So it's not just saying I do, it's that you're entering into something again that you're actually not prepared for. And it becomes, when the stakes get higher, it's the stakes that raise. Like, I would just say it like that. When you talk about children, legacy, financials, and other things, the stakes have risen. And if the stakes rise, what was acceptable before is now not acceptable. But
Okay.
what you get as pushback, the number one classic, somebody is saying, this is how I was. You knew this is how I was.
That's true.
Now we married. You trying to change me now. All of a sudden, we was better off when we wasn't married. That's
Yeah.
not really true.
Yeah.
your ceremony does, I think sometimes people, because weddings are such an event here, we forget that there's also an unseen element in the ritual of getting married. So you're
Okay.
bound to get an increase in expectation, or a call for the increase in your skill level. So what you were doing before, when you say vows, when you actually, you're invoking something, and sometimes we think, because again, because of movies and TV and cartoons, it's just like
Yapu said Disney.
we're gonna say whatever we're gonna say, and this becomes part of it. But when
That's
you're really
true,
saying
brother.
for better or worse, and all of these types of things, it ends up being
Worse.
we've been initiated into something, and here's this ritual that we're going through, and now here comes the test to the ritual, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that when you say my wife, my husband,
Mm-hmm.
it is a hierarchy and a up level of your expectation, as opposed to when you're casually dating, as opposed to when you move, if you move in together, as opposed to when you exchange a ring or have a promise. Each one of these things is, incrementally, you're more tied to someone.
Mm-hmm.
that happens now, your expectations, it's subconscious, but now you have expectations about
Mm-hmm.
money, about communication, about activity. And I think sometimes it's we focus on the details so much, it's
Right.
impossible to think of the unlimited types of scenarios that will happen. So all we have is our experience in the last relationship or our caregivers, our parents, or TV. That's all we have. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
know what someone's actually going to do until you're really with them. But the thing you can do is have, like as I see that Ayapa was saying, like a commitment to the idea of marriage for when the love is not where it was the day before, or the
Mm-hmm.
interest is not where it was the day before. And I think some people who are single sometimes think that sounds ridiculous. Why would I be in something that's not exciting and fun and happy all the time? And people who are married are saying, hey, we fluctuate with ourselves from a day to day, moment to moment basis. Of
Oh,
course, we
that's the
fluctuate
hard
with
one.
somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to know that going in, that if today is a 4 and yesterday was a 10 and tomorrow's a 7, that we're still good if we have more 7s and 10s than we do 4s. But I think that for single people, it seems like, what do you mean if the love is fading? How can you hold on to commitment? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're committed to the idea of your marriage and, you know, the foundation of your marriage, and not necessarily the person that you have met in that moment, because you're hopefully expecting
Mm-hmm.
the person to grow and change in a way that you can't even predict. So you have to have a level of faith that you're going in the same direction and that
Mm-hmm.
you will work to stay in the same direction, but also allow for growth and freedom, because you would be bored if a person stayed the same as the day that you met them, especially as you desire to grow for yourself.
So okay, so let's get into respect. Let's get into respect because the we hear a lot that men value respect, like it's at the top of like the list for what men desire. Um as far as respect, so there's a lot of conversation around black women's attitude, right? It's a lot of conversation around that. And Mancho, I know you're gonna be honest about this.
Mhm.
But do we have an attitude problem as black women? You guys do
Yeah,
this
yeah,
with
yeah. Black women have a justifiable
okay.
attitude. They
Okay.
are embarrassed before the world.
Okay.
Malcolm X said that black women are the most unprotected,
Unprotected.
disrespected, and violated women on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So and I agree with that. How could you have that experience and not have an attitude? So yes, I think black women have an attitude, and yes, I think it's well earned. Um, I think that black men have to take a big part of the responsibility for making our women feel satisfied, and we're not doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
do black women have an attitude? Absolutely. You and I any black woman who says that black women don't just have a attitude, they have a negative image of themselves and each other. Black women are the only group of people who go around saying, you know, I don't really have a lot of female friends, or
Yes.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
really deal with females like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of we don't have a high image of black women, even black women themselves. You will never hear a man say, I don't deal with men. Like, that's
That's true.
absurd. That's
That's
absurd.
true.
We will never say that
Yeah.
because we need men to survive. Um, Black women hold each other down, but for some reason they have a borrowed misogynistic view of each other, and so they talk about each other like they're men. Um,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, they got an attitude. Absolutely,
So
absolutely. And it ain't just like they got some innate problem. Black women are the most loving and caring women on the planet,
I
but
agree.
they have an attitude, and their attitude is absolutely well earned.
Mm. So, okay, so as it pertains to respect and
Mhm.
um is respect is it true that respect is at the top of the list for men?
No,
And
I
what
would not say. I would
okay.
say it's third.
Oh, it's
I,
what's
yeah,
the
I
first
would
two?
say peace and loyalty come before respect for black
Ooh,
men,
okay.
or
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
it's second. Maybe men will say peace and loyalty. Black men live in a hellish world where they are public enemy number one. They are the target of each other, the system that hates them. Their image is the most along with our women. It's not a war with our women, but I'm just saying as a man, it
Yeah.
is the most deplorable, disgusting image.
Yeah.
The hunt is on for black men by every phase of the system, the educational, the economic, the fashion, the food, um, the labor, the law, politics, religion, sex, war,
Sex. Mhm.
everything. Um, so it is, black men want peace. They want peace.
Mhm.
Whatever black men indulge in, it brings them a sense of peace and release. That's the number one thing they're looking for. I think the number one way that black men that I see describe um, their ideal woman is that she brings peace into my life. Now, implicit with that comes a certain level of respect,
Mhm.
but what I hear, they're very close. I hear peace. I hear loyalty.
Mhm.
Everybody betrays black men. So black men want someone who's loyal. They want someone who brings peace, and absolutely they want to be respected because they're disrespected. Now, ironically, I think black women go through these same things,
Yeah, I think we just use a
um,
different word.
but they're different
Yeah.
terms that they
We
use.
use the word love, and I think that
Oh.
it's watered down. So when we again use the word with each other, we don't realize that we're talking about the same type of thing. So we say love and
Mm.
unconditional love, and I think implicit in that is that you're going to respect me. I think men say,
Okay.
I don't want your love if it's just like flowers and duty and these types of things if I don't have your respect. So we
Right.
say it differently, but I think that what we mean is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
As
Yes.
Bruce was saying, we both implied in love and respect is that there's going to be some loyalty,
Mhm.
like there's going to be some, and if you say that respect is treating someone the way that they want to be treated, then I think that that's what people
That's the
mean
key. That's the
by
key.
love,
Mhm.
is that they want to be respected, they want to be treated
Mhm.
right.
Hey,
And I
everything
think
is
that for
politics. Mhm.
men, it's just not a word that is embraced in a lovey-dovey kind of way. So it comes across as you don't gotta love me. You just gotta respect me. That's not true. We
But
need love, but I think that people have a poor view of love because much like a lot of terms, they lose their potency when we throw it around a lot and we
Mhm.
mislabel things that are not love. So then
Mhm.
people say, I don't want that because that doesn't look appealing anywhere. But true love is duty, service, and there's some respect implied in that you're going to treat something with respect if you love it.
you are in respect. We treating a person the way they want to be treated, and not the way we want to be treated. In the West, the golden rule says treat a
And that's the
person
way
the
you
way
should
you
love
would
as
want to
well.
be treated, but that's actually not a golden rule. It,
Ah.
so much of our miseducation is a hairline difference, but it makes like this line will take you one place. If we change it slightly, it will take you somewhere totally different.
Yes.
The change is subtle, but the destination is worlds apart. And that's
Yeah.
what we have in our language. The deceiver, the grand deceiver, is a master at the subliminal or seductive thing. Oh, that's what my grandmother said. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Da, da, da. That's not true in a
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm.
I'm a man. I don't want Nawasha to treat me the way she would treat herself. She's a
Mm.
woman.
Mhm.
Me treating her the way that I would treat myself, it's probably too harsh. It's probably not balanced. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
in respect, what we're doing is we're treating people the way they want to be treated. Now, what that requires is understanding them deeply and emotionally, and not polarizing them. We're like, I understand you in the first 6 months we were together, so I understand you for the rest of your life. You're changing annually, but
No.
6, 7 years, you go through a major psychological change. And
Mm-hmm.
so if a person is going to ride with you, um, loving you the way you want to be loved is not just a sexual metaphor. Like, how do
Mm-hmm.
you want it? It's a really a love metaphor of how do we build a relationship that is gratifying and fulfilling most of the time. It
Yeah.
won't be all the time, but
Yeah.
This last comment is really great that I see because I
Wait, this one, Yapo or everything is
this is so important
okay. 1 minute. Mm-hmm.
that the images that we see when we're a child, like saying, I've seen someone take care of someone else, like clean them, wipe them, feed them. I saw that when I was a child. When that goes into your mind, even with the other fairy tales and superhero, there's more balance into, hey, this is the potential, and I see the beauty in this level of duty and respect. So I can say, I don't want that to happen to me. I hope that we both, have our faculties and everything goes well for 150 years. But I can also say that I saw this when I was a child, and so what is in my mind is also now it's embodied, that when I'm making the commitment that this could potentially be part of it. And this is like we were just saying, it's not just words to say for better or worse in sickness and in health. And some of the things that we have heard thousands and thousands of times
Yeah.
watching movies and watching TV, but it's really saying I'm going to be here for this person in some kind of way.
Yeah.
When I get to see it, much like everything else, how we learn a language, how we learn how to cook, how we recognize clothing and dress, and police officers and all the other things we know about culture, we're
Mm-hmm.
absorbing it from the time that we can see and hear and absorb what's coming from our parents and community and culture, and we don't get a chance to see older relationships. We
Yeah.
don't get a chance to see people who've been together for 50 years. What does that look like? And some of us, our only reference is our parents and aunts and uncles. And if they haven't had good relationships,
Mm-hmm.
what we see is balance with the facts that they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get us from their point of view, not
Yeah.
necessarily, but their opinions that they're trying to prevent from happening again. So that is a hard thing to really absorb when you're a child, when there's so much negativity that by the time you have a natural desire to come together as teenagers and in your
Mm-hmm.
20s,
you don't
there's
believe in it.
so much that you have against you in your own heart, because you have the natural desire. You might find someone attractive, but you doubt that it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And there's
I
something
Yeah.
think
powerful about doubt anywhere, but especially in love, that when
Mm-hmm.
you really have the doubt, this is where disrespect comes. And this is where
Okay, Yapo.
reciprocity gets skewed,
Mm-hmm.
because you wait for the other person to go first. So
Mm-hmm.
rather than leading with how you want your marriage or relationship to be, you say, well, if when I see this, I'll do that. Instead of I'll do this and then I'll see
right. I
that,
think
right?
Iyapu said it. You got to believe in marriage more than you believe in the person, and
Yeah.
that's
Mm.
that's what I'm saying to black women. If you don't have a man like that, he don't even got to have the skills at first. All he got to do is have the belief, because
That's
a
true.
black man who has that belief will get the skills. But if you try to put that belief in a man who doesn't have it and doesn't have a reference, I say that the most ideal, you're not going to win. The most ideal situation is this: two a black man and black woman come together who actually believe in love and have a reference for it. The next best scenario would be a black man who believes in love and doesn't, and is trying to convince, a black man who believes in love and is with a black woman who doesn't and is skeptical. That's number
Mm.
two, the best scenario. The worst scenario is a black woman who believes in love and in a relationship with a black man who does not. That's the worst case scenario, because of what the black man is in a relationship foundationally. You're going to have a hard time convincing him to believe in something, and he's the foundation. And this is actually the some of the manifestations of this toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, the
Mm-hmm.
femininity coming from black men and the toxic masculinity coming from black women. You can't make up a relationship and then put a man in. You actually have to do what as a woman, you have to do what you're actually trying to get men to do, which is step into the vision that a man has of what a relationship should be, and then nurture that vision to make it more than what he actually expected. But he has to have that first. You can't
Mm-hmm.
have it first and then force him into it and build a good relationship. It doesn't work. And that's what's happening most of the time out here. Now we're in a new era where black women have become so cynical, because they are unsuccessful at relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They've become so cynical that it's just, hey, is something wrong with the men? And these men out here ain't serious, and a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch of other things that they say.
There aren't enough good men. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there aren't enough good
Mm-hmm.
men. That's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of good men. It's a lot of good, like a lot of sisters say that, and it's proof that we're not studying men. I'm not saying sisters are delusional now. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that women are out here, know what they experience, but most of the people want relationships. This is like sisters, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate goal you have, you should be saying that immediately. If you understood the way men are, you're not going to wait to say that. Like I tell women all the time in our practice, tell a man on the first date, if you could have anything that you want from me forever, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
Ask him that. And I'm not saying it's like some magic question you got to ask, because women get silly and they think that. So you saying if I ask that, like, no, that's not what I'm not giving you the right answer to ask. Like it's not about that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about that. It's about understanding the psychology of men. Men know on the first date that they having drinks or eating chicken or whatever the hell you into, that you doing on the first date when you come together. The man who you're spending company with, he knows exactly what he wants from you. He is not trying to figure it out. He is not trying to see, he knows. He knows what it is when he asked you out. Or if you asked him out, he know, I want this. He usually, as Nawasha says, and I feel the same way, but I like to have Nawasha say it, because women need to hear other women saying this. He usually says it.
Come on, Washa, say it.
He usually says it on the first date. He usually says what he wants. And women will say all kind of delusion. Oh, I'm not hearing that. Or did it, like they will just,
No, I think
if that don't fit into their,
that we might be an exception to
yeah,
what someone's saying. So
yeah,
when somebody's like, "Hey, I'm just dating, I'm not really looking for anything serious." Sometimes what we hear is, "Oh, you just haven't met me yet."
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
By the time we see each other a couple more times, you'll have a totally different view of relationships.
And
And
when,
we're not.
This obsession we have with being the exception and being special. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I see it all
yeah,
the time. I'm like, that's a problem that we have. Like,
yeah,
the brother
you're,
is telling you who he is.
yeah.
And we are
You're
special,
special,
but you
but you
gotta
ain't an
be
exception
you
though.
gotta be special in the right spot though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of stuff that's special, but if you're misplaced,
Yeah.
Somebody's still not going to be able to
For
find you.
sure, every black woman is special, but you ain't
Yes,
an exception,
but
sweetheart.
I mean, special in the
You're not.
sense of like, well, he hasn't met me. I'm the one
Yeah,
that's going to change this
yeah,
about him.
yeah,
And I think a
yeah,
lot of women go into those situations like that. And when you go in like that, you go in like this and you start
yeah,
missing everything that he's saying almost intentionally. So
yeah.
I agree with that.
A
We do
lot of
that.
women are on dates trying to prove to men that that's not really what you want.
That's
Yes.
our version of the
Yeah,
superhero mythos. Like our version is, you just haven't met me yet. I'm about to do some magic, and you can see it. Like we're the ones who do love spells and do the kind of, you said no, but I'm about
But
to show you how this is a yes. And men don't typically. I think for one, they don't have a reason. They don't have enough of a necessity to lie. So
okay.
most of the time, if you say, "Oh well, I'm just dating right now. I'm not looking for anything serious." If a woman says, "Oh, that's not good enough for me," most men who are really in that spot but not necessarily sold with the woman, they say, "Okay, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know because I can go right over a little
yeah,
bit when there's three other women who
yeah.
are also
The
pretty."
waitress in this restaurant.
Right.
I'll go to her.
So,
The one that just served us our drinks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so this is
She actually slipped her number.
this is
Right.
why they don't have to lie,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
they don't feel the necessity to. Like they can say, I have at least five women. And I think that also men they know they have the responsibility of pursuing. So they can say, I'm going to go out this weekend and find five women. Like I think that women, in our desire to be pursued, we don't necessarily do that. And if we have five approaches, we're always filtering for our safety in that we're much more cautious for the most part. So I
Yeah.
think that those are the things that women can use to their advantage, is to be able to say, hey, if I ask a question in the right way, I'm likely to get the 100% answer that is the truth. And then I have to really be willing to hear the truth, and I have to be a little bit more, not aggressive in a negative sense, but I have to be more deliberate about my own fate. So rather
Mm-hmm.
than say I met this person and they seem like they're great and checking off everything on my list, so I have to force this to work, I can be deliberate and say I need to be around men who are like this, who value this, and where are those men? And let me be there. Let me meet 5 or 10 of them there and have my
Mm-hmm.
choice, rather than where I met a couple that were interested in me, and now I'm trying to make them more of a
right.
choice than what they actually were.
So I'm gonna we at the 2 hour mark, and so I'm gonna wrap up. But I want you guys to respond to one question because this one, have they covered online dating? It's hell out here. Okay, so listen, I hear this a lot. Okay, people are struggling out here with this dating thing. Like I've heard that from women. It's hell out here. I've heard it from men. In this space, the men are having a lot of public conversations about the pickings that's out there. That a lot of these women are not really interested in being wives. And then the women are saying the same thing. So the dating situation is a mess for a lot of people. Does this come up in your practice around like online dating? Do you guys have any tips around that for the listening audience before
Yes,
we
I
wrap up?
absolutely do. Online dating is a gem for Black people.
Yeah.
It is one of the greatest things that have ever happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
However,
You got to do it right.
you have to have some relationship skills. Every
Mhm.
question that is being asked comes back
Mm-hmm.
to this. So I did an interview with a friend of mine, a man who's in my town, who's a single um, man, a divorcee, a millionaire. He
Mm-hmm.
came from hard times. He was a drug dealer who became a drug addict and then went to jail, came out, started a construction company. It was
Mm-hmm.
very successful, and it gave him a lane to open up other businesses. And he's a nationally recognized leader around reentry for brothers who are coming back from incarceration. But he has a
Mm-hmm.
couple of businesses, and so during COVID, he started to online date. He met his wife. He met a wife, and he married within 6 months, and they live around the corner from us. They just they live around the corner from us, and they live in Philadelphia. They have two homes where she is. They
Mhm.
just built a home around the corner from us. But and I interviewed him. That interview is on our Accommodate Every Day webpage, and the conversation was about online dating. And what I was telling him was this: we deal with a lot of people in the Black Love School and in our counseling practice that talk about online dating.
Yes.
We actually say that if we were separated for some reason, we would both go to online dating to find a mate,
Oh, okay.
right? Because it opens up the entire world for you in
That's
terms of
true.
choice.
Mhm.
However, people try to make online dating or this other thing the problem. The problem is you don't have relationship skills. So you
Mhm.
couldn't date online. It's like cat in the hat. You couldn't date in person. You couldn't date with green eggs. You couldn't date on a mountain, Sam I am. You couldn't date in the church. You couldn't date at college. You couldn't date at work. So being online is not what the issue is. The
Right.
issue is not being online. That is
Okay.
absolutely
Yeah.
not the issue.
It's more
Mhm.
access
It's
to the problems that
yeah,
you
it's
already
more
had.
so what is happening is more opportunity to show that you don't have relationship skills
Mhm.
is going to show that you don't have relationship skills. You don't have them, and it doesn't. I always say this: it doesn't matter where you meet your partner. And people say, so should I meet them in the church? Should
Mhm.
I meet them at the health spa? Should I go down to Wall Street and meet them on the financial trading floor? If you don't have no relationship skills, it don't matter where you meet them at. You can meet them on online dating. You can
Mhm.
meet them at the PTA meeting. Because we're silly. We think if I could just figure out where they're at and I go
Mhm.
there, you know, I don't want to be up in the club. Well, the supermarket's a club.
Mhm.
Health club is a club. The soccer game is a club. Everywhere is a club.
Mhm.
And if you don't have no relationship skills, church is a club. It don't matter. You know what I mean? And so what I think is dope about online dating is you can span your geographic area. This is something that women may need to do. Men never need to do this. It's somebody dope right in your neighborhood. We
Mhm.
never need to go far to find
Mhm.
a woman who's available. And I say this, and I want to be careful about saying that. I don't want to transmit the idea that women are more valuable than men because women are already suffering from that disease. I
Mhm.
don't want to say that that's what it is. What I'm saying is women are receiving the advance of men. So, in a general area for men, there's a lot of different ways you can advance. If
Mhm.
you don't have no skills, you shouldn't be dating. Not online, not in the church, not anywhere. When you now I interviewed this man. We did a 2 hour
Why
interview,
are you riding a dinosaur?
right? you know, it's right. And I talked to him about the things that he was deliberate on and the things that she was uncompromising on. And
Yes.
he had been married. His children are, young adults. He didn't want to be married again, but he absolutely wanted to be in a relationship with her. And so he said it was an easy sell to remarry because at this point in his life, he didn't have to, he had been married before and
Right.
divorced. So he was like, for me, I didn't feel like I needed to be married, but I wanted to be in a relationship with her. So because it was a necessity for her, it became a necessity for me. So he was unique in a lot of ways. They met in COVID. They dated um during the time of COVID online. Soon as some of the restrictions were lifted, they had their first physical date. Within 3 to 4 months of that, they were engaged.
Hmm.
And now they've been married several years now. It's been a couple of years anyway that they've been married
Mhm.
on their second anniversary of their wedding. But I'm saying to say is Black people, ain't nothing wrong with online dating.
And
The
I
same idiots you find on online, them the same idiots that be coming up to you in the club. It's the same
mm,
whack people in the church. It's the same, you are, when we talking about reciprocity, you're a magnet. for them whack
Mm.
type of people because you're whack.
And I think that this is the challenge. We have to make sure what we do is we help people with their profiles. We help people make the best
Oh, okay.
their photo. We help people really write what is in ways that are fun and interesting and
Okay.
really spark some for women some mystery and some and
Hmm.
for men some purpose. You know, you have to be able to say something. That's why I'm laughing about the dinosaur photo. That
That's a
might
good one.
actually
That's a
be
good one.
right. That might be on brand, as they say. But you have to be able to make sure that you're delivering something because it is true that people pretend, right? But for the
Hmm.
most part, men can't pretend that far because there's just not the incentive again. When you're in a culture that's swipe left, swipe right, and
Yes.
can still have sex doing that, if that's your goal for the next 3 to 5 years, then you can be on that. You know, this is why whatever you do, whether it is going into the church, people can do that. Whether it's in college, people can do that. There's
Hmm.
the idea of understanding what are you on right now, and how do I know if you're on that or not? Whether it's I'm reading a profile, whether you
Hmm.
are a deacon, whether you're in my psychology class, like how do I figure out what you're really on versus what I think you're on by what I see and what you say you're on? Are
Yeah.
aligned? Can I look at your behavior and see your mind and your heart is aligned with your behavior? And a lot of times people read more into stuff than they need to. And
Hmm.
they also don't really have a vetting criteria. So if you say, the first answer is correct, that's my only question.
Hmm.
And then if
Hmm.
that is a life and our second, third, fourth date or us living together, that I realize you have, you know, a wife or violent tendencies or other children or and it just comes from um inexperience.
When we come back
Yeah.
to the show, I want to do the seven skills that guarantee a long-term relationship.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yes.
One of them is communication. One of them is purpose. Well, I'll tell you all seven of them. What is
Wait,
purpose?
wait. It's called seven skills that do what?
That guarantee
Guarantee.
a
Okay.
long-term fulfilling relationship.
Okay.
One is purpose. Two is conscious courting. Three is 3D communication.
Mhm.
Four is the harmonizing of styles. Five is resolving conflict. Six is intimacy and sex. And seven is legacy. If you build those seven skills, you're going to have a long term relationship. It's really simple. It's not easy per se, but it's extremely simple. If
Mhm.
you don't have a long term relationship, it's because you don't have one of those skills. It's just that simple. Number two, conscious courting, which includes vetting and stuff like that. I think and I'm gonna say this because one of the sisters said something that was really profound. She was saying that online people can be, they can
Anything.
pretend
Yeah.
whatever, whatever. I think it's easier to pretend you're somebody online than it is in person. Most people make that same mistake in person more than they ever do online. So this is evidence that we don't know how to court. We don't know how to vet. We don't know how to select a mate. And so, no matter where you meet a person at, you have to build a relationship in real time.
Mhm.
So, it's not about a presentation when you're
Mhm.
building a relationship. For people who say, people online is playing games and stuff like that. Ask them, did they ever ask a person, so are you trying to get married? Are you
Mm.
interested in marrying me? What is my ultimate goal? My ultimate goal, not hypothetically, but my ultimate goal for you is to see if you are a potential mate or a potential husband or a potential wife. Not some general statement like you're a politician, but what are you looking for from me? If
Mhm.
you have that conversation for real in the first conversation, a lot of times you will see who the person is. Like,
Mhm.
you don't gotta deal with them and 16 times dealing with them and all of that. I think the difference in buying a home, the difference in buying a car, a difference in going to school, a difference in going to college, and all of these are very serious life altering events that cost a lot of money and stuff like that, you're able to make those decisions in one test drive, one home visit. Why?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because the difference is you have to be pre-qualified to even be in the conversation. We don't know how to pre-qualify ourselves, and we damn sure don't know how to pre-qualify somebody else. So we have to go through trial and error to figure out that when you got to go through trial and error, guess what you figured out? I'm not qualified. So naturally, the other person isn't. This is reciprocity again.
Yeah.
I'm getting what I am. If I'm qualified and I know what I want and what I'm looking for, we are going to have that conversation the first time we ever talk. Like, oh, she cute, or oh, he cute. Let me kind of get to know them. And in the first, as soon as a person say, I didn't want to bring up a heavy conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you about to get taken for a ride. Then you about to go through the ringer and get taken for a ride. And so I don't think we do that in any other. You don't go for a mortgage and say, I'm trying to buy a house, but I don't want to talk about how much money I make now. I don't want to talk about what
I don't want you checking my credit.
yeah, I want to buy this car, but I don't want you talking about the fact that my license is suspended for 3 years. Like, I don't want that. I just want to talk about the car and then test drive it and all of that. And people say the most of, well, what if we not compatible sexually? And all of these immature things. If you got a vagina and he got a penis, or he got a penis and you got a vagina, y'all compatible sex. You just have to build intimacy to create sex and not think that sex will lead to intimacy. So that sixth skill is intimacy and sex. You got to learn how to build intimacy before you have sex. We deal with thousands of people. They say stuff to me that they don't say to the person they're having sex with. Like, I'm not even in, like, because I'm building intimacy with you in a session that you don't actually have with the person you're sleeping with. And so these 7 skills are the 7 skills that we teach in everything that we do, because they are the skills that are going to make relationships long-term and fulfilling.
So what I'm going to do, yes. No, so here's what I'm going to propose. I think when I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring at least 3 people on the panel with you guys, because I do agree with him. Everything is politics with that millennial generation thing, where it's like asking too many questions. Like, I had a friend where it was like 6 months into the dating process, and she was just like, I mean, should I ask him where this is going? Like, she was like a little nervous about asking. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're about to be 40. Like, we were in our late 30s at this point. And I'm like, no, it's not too early. Like, so there's a lot of fear around like asking certain things, going too deep, having heavy conversation and so forth. But I know, because I gotta go, and I know I'm gonna bring you guys back. But I think the way I want to do it next time, and if you guys know anyone in the comment section that's single that want to be on this particular panel,
we got a lot.
Munch with them. Yes, please come, because we're gonna talk about these 7 skills, and we're gonna have the conversation about what's really going on out here, and you guys can ask all your questions. Are you okay with that, Mancho?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm gonna make that happen. I am going to make that happen. But I'm gonna wrap up that.
I want Black people to get these skills, because sometimes, let me tell you this, and I know you got to go. Yeah. Sometimes the relationship conversation deepens the despair more than it does enlightens. What actually is going to enlighten us is the empowerment of knowing I am learning something, a tangible skill that I can actually use. We are in search of an aha moment. Like, let me just hear the thing that I can, like, let me hear the question I can ask, or, whatever. And it's not really that. It's developing a skill that is going to help you be successful in what you want. Because what I want to say to all Black people is, whatever you actually want, not only do you deserve it, but you can actually have it. But the skills that you currently have, if you don't have what you want, it's your skill level that has to change.
Yeah. So we already have one volunteer for that show.
Okay.
The wireless woman, she's already volunteering. I'm gonna hit my sister up. Yes, we're gonna make this happen. The wireless woman. I'm gonna look at December for this? Sometime
Yes.
in December? Okay, because
That's
I'm
right.
full for November. And
That's
then
right.
what's his name? Everything politics. Please let me know if you're a guy. If you're a guy, and you want to be a part of this discussion next month, please let me know. Hit me up and let me know. We already have one volunteer, the wireless woman. I'm putting you down. She said that she's a divorcee and she feels like we are on these, well, divorcees are underserved, sorry, underserved. So
Mhm.
she's willing to come and have the conversation. Everything politics, if you're willing, please let me know. I'm assuming that you're a guy and you might be that generation that you're talking about. So come and have the conversation about these seven skills that are going to guarantee you a long-term relationship. So, oh, okay,
Oh,
it's a black woman. Okay,
everything
and that's
politics is
fine.
a black woman. I thought that too. I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
I
I
thought that
thought
was a
all this
woman.
time. My apologies.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah,
apologies,
yeah,
sis.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to be a part of it, I'm assuming you're a younger black woman since you mentioned that generation. Just let me know because I'm going to try to get at least three people. Hopefully, I can find a guy to come on and have the conversation. Actually, I have a guy in mind. So
Yeah,
I'll bring.
yeah, we got a couple of people.
Okay.
Everything politics. You brought up a good point. Let me say this. Here's a
Mhm,
telltale sign that you know is skill development. Whenever anybody talks about their track of unsuccess in a relationship, notice how, and this is not a highlight or an attack on you. Notice how they always talk about something outside of themselves, him or
mm,
herself.
mm,
Notice that they talk about online dating, a certain generation,
mhm,
whatever. It's rarely
mhm,
this. This is the question that I would
mhm,
ask everybody to ask themselves. What is it about relationships that I really need to be good at that I know that I don't know? If you would start your search for relationship success from that paradigm, you're going to win. All the
mhm,
rest of that shit is just, we will have these relationship shows for another 30 years. We are 8 out of 10 of us are unmated, and of the other two, 70% of them are not even happy, but they're staying
mm,
in relationships because of children or mortgage or whatever. And they're just flatlining. They don't even know how to ramp their relationship up to another level. I want to give you the skills to help you do that because when you have the relationship skills, you can go anywhere on this planet and find you a mate. When you don't have the relationship skills, you the answers could be all around you, and you're going to just find some new way to get a nuance and think it's something else.
mhm,
Something is wrong with us, Black people. Here in the Western world, we're the most unmated people on the planet.
mhm.
Everybody else on the planet is not going through what we're going through. If you have a global view, you understand that. Now,
Yeah.
if you just listen to this Black American or Black UK or whatever, you will think everybody is going through this. Black people in the Western world are 7.8 unmated. And that ain't even start with the millennial generation. So that argument is ridiculous. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that to you,
Yeah. Mhm.
politics, but I'm just saying a lot of people talk that. It's the social media era. They always want to make it a boogeyman. It's the
Mhm.
music, it's this, it's that. It's that we have lost in losing our culture, we've lost the skills to connect and mate. We were able to mate even during slavery at the exact inverse. 7 out of 8 of us were, or 8 out of 10 of us were getting married when it was illegal and they would kill you if you got married. 8 out of 10 of us were finding ways to jump that broom and get married because we valued it. We understood what it represented and we had the skills, even though we didn't have the skills to overturn our oppressor. We had the skills to come together and stay together in a kind of way. That wasn't ideal, but it was a kind of commitment. Now
Mhm.
we lost all of that.
Mm.
And and yeah, social media plays a part, feminism played a part, crack, AIDS, hip hop, a lot of stuff plays a part in it. But all of those things are the extrapolation of your cultural value system. And until you get your cultural value system back and even know what that is, you'll be lost and dazed and out here trying to find the new villain as to why we don't get together. So I'm just saying, hey, You
Yeah.
know, everything is politics. Like
Yeah.
we have a large client base in London, and I see you saying a lot of interracial dating. I hear a lot of that from the people
Yeah.
in the UK, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we respect to anybody who does that. We don't advocate that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't do interracial. We don't do LGBT. So we work with black men who want black women and black women who want black men. That's who we
Mm-hmm.
work with. So we can help you. We can help
Mm-hmm.
you.
So I'm gonna make sure I set that up for next month. I already
Yeah,
have I have about it's gonna be a full panel. I'm gonna try to make
yeah.
sure
Bring them
everybody
on.
on there is single and we're gonna
Bring them
have this
on.
conversation. But I
Bring them
wanna
on.
say thanks again to you guys, man. Show
Yeah.
always
So while she
appreciate
was
it.
getting out, my daughter ran down here and got, you know, my sister-in-law's in town, and it's a lot going on in here. So
It's
Nawashi
all
just
right.
picked up and she gone. So
Yeah, so it's okay, but I appreciate you guys for
yeah,
giving me
we
your
love you. We
time.
love you always, anytime. You know, we ready. We ready to get
All
it on.
So I'll be in touch for
Yes,
December, okay? All right, you
absolutely.
guys enjoy the rest of your
Yes.
evening.
Thank you for having us.
All right, peace.
Always. All right,
Okay.
peace.
All right, guys. I wrote down some names here. Wireless. I got Arshawn down. I'll be reaching out to him. He'll probably catch the replay. I don't know, but I will reach out to him. I have a list of other people that I have down. I'm gonna try to see if I can just have a panel of like single people because I hear this a lot, and I haven't been in the single people streets in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been down those avenues in a while. And so, but I hear a lot that it's tough out here. It's tough out there, right? And so I'm going to bring a few people on so that you guys can talk to. These are professional people. And they're willing to give us, at least 2 hours of their time to have this conversation. So, everything politics, if you're open to it, just let me know. If not, no pressure. You can still come and ask your questions. I'll see if I can get as much uh single people on the panel to have the conversation with Mwasha, and just about the 7 skill sets that we need. And also, you guys can let them know how you guys feel about what's going on in these streets. So, therefore, I look forward to that in December because I'm pretty much full for November. I have everything, my content calendar is full for November. So that will definitely be in December. So I'm telling you guys, look forward to it. That should be a great conversation. The wireless woman says, let me read these last comments. I'm sorry. Finding people with semi-valid sets, etc. is serving a bit tricky in these London streets. Iyapo says, thank you. Appreciate you, Iyapo, as usual. And I look forward to my Black love conversation with you and your beautiful wife around creating and cultivating peace in relationships as it pertains to Black love. Um, uh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Can I get back to work now? Yes, you can, Iyapo. Baba Khalil, thank you so much for passing through. I appreciate you. Let me see what else we have here because I'm going to be wrapping up. The wireless woman says, "Oh, girl, I love my sis, and my sis candidness is just, I love it." She says it's trash in these streets. Okay, ain't no playing around, ain't no dancing around, and she just feel like it's trash out in the streets, right? And we're gonna get into that next month. You had a discussion that was too good and distracted me. She says, I'll come back to you in the comment section, panel discussion. Okay, not a problem. Guys, look forward to the conversation on Monday. We have Baba Mwalimu Baruti, who is going to come and discuss with us what is Black culture and how culture plays a part in Black liberation. So we're gonna have that conversation. And then the next Friday we have Sir Hale on. We're gonna be talking about the effects of media, social media on Black love relationships. So those are going to be good as well. And so yeah, make sure you guys tune in for the rest of the month. Every Friday we're gonna be focusing on Black love relationships, and then Mondays is going to be more like, just kind of issues within Black culture and so forth. So you guys look forward to those conversations for the rest of the month. And then December, I'll make sure I bring Marsha back and have that conversation with a panel full of single people. So hopefully my single friends aren't too shy and coming on. So Thank you guys for being here with me and hanging out with me. I enjoy the conversation with you guys. I enjoy the pushback. I enjoy the comments that you guys ask. Want to share them as usual. Thank you for your time today. Go out, enjoy your family, enjoy the weekend. If you go out and watch Black Panther, enjoy the movie. Just try to enjoy life, try not to be so serious, and stoic this weekend. Just go and have some fun and love on somebody, love on your family, hold them close, hold them tight, let them know how much you appreciate them. If you are in a relationship, let your spouse know how much you love and appreciate them. If you're just dating someone, just let them know you're thinking about them. Let's show each other love throughout the weekend. All right, until we meet again, peace and blessings.